welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really fascinating story. The Pandya Dynasty. They're one of the three crowned kings of ancient Tamilakam down in South India.
And what's just incredible is their sheer staying power, isn't it? We're talking, what, 4th century BCE?
All the way to the 17th century CE, that's well over 2,000 years. And it wasn't smooth sailing either. They had this cycle, this pattern of decline, and then bam, revival.
Exactly, a real roller coaster.
So our mission today is to dive into that. How did they get so powerful? What sparked that incredible golden age they had?
And maybe most importantly, how did such a resilient dynasty eventually just disappear?
Right. Let's start at the beginning, those ancient roots. We actually see mentions pretty early on, don't we?
We do. Greek writers like Megasthenes back in the 4th century BCE talked about Pandya. He described it as a territory ruled by a queen with hundreds of villages.
365 villages, wasn't it? One for each day of the year, supposedly.
That's the story, yeah. And you've got Roman emperors receiving envoys, Ashoka the Great mentioning them in the 3rd century BCD.
As friendly neighbors, sort of outside his main empire. So they were established players very early.
And a lot of that early power, it seems to come down to wealth. Their first capital, Korkai.
That was the pearl fishing place.
The major one. Pearls were huge business. That, plus spices and other goods, fueled massive trade. Rome, China, Southeast Asia, they were connected.
So that economic engine was really humming from the get-go.
Absolutely. It gave them the resources, the influence.
But it wasn't always smooth. You mentioned the cycles. What about setbacks, like that period sometimes called the Dark Age?
The Calabras. Yeah, they definitely shook things up across South India for a good while. We don't know a huge amount about them, but they disrupted the established order.
Yet the Pandyas survived that too.
They did. That's the resilience kicking in. They might have been diminished for a time, but they always seemed to, bounce back. That deep economic and cultural base probably helped.
Okay, so let's talk about one of those big bounce backs.
Yeah.
Kadungon, late 6th, early 7th century. That seems like a key moment.
Definitely a major resurgence. They really reasserted themselves on the map then.
And what was the wider picture like at that time? Lots of competition.
Oh, yeah. Intense rivalry. You had the Chalukyas, the Pallavas. Everyone was constantly vying for dominance.
Sort of a power struggle across the region.
Constantly. The Kavari River often ended up being a kind of natural frontier, a line they fought over again and again. It was very fluid, alliances shifting all the time.
A real political chess game then.
Pretty much. Survival meant being adaptable, using alliances, marriage ties, everything alongside military strength.
Okay, fast forward a few centuries. We hit the big one. The 13th century Golden Age. This sounds spectacular.
It really was. Under Jatavarman Sundara Pandyan assert, the empire just exploded. He brought pretty much all of Tamil Nadu and Kerala under Pandya rule, even pushed into Sri Lanka.
And he was the one with the grand gestures, gold-plating temple roofs.
That's him. Chidambaram, Srirangam, earned him the title Panvainda Perumal, the king who covered temples in gold. Huge prestige.
Wow. And his successor kept things going.
Maravarman Kulasekhara, he presided over about 40 years of relative peace and prosperity. Things looked, unbeatable.
Which makes the next part even more jarring. How does an empire at that height just fall apart?
It's almost tragic, really. The trigger was the death of Maravarman Kulasekhara over in 1308.
What happened?
A succession dispute. A brutal one. His sons went to war with each other. One son, Sundara Pandyan, is even said to have killed his own father.
Killed his father. Good grief.
Exactly. Fratricide. It tore the kingdom apart from the inside. Utter chaos.
So after all that resilience, it was internal conflict that cracked them open.
Precisely. And that weakness, that disarray, was just too tempting an opportunity for outsiders.
And to the Delhi Sultanate.
Under Malik Kafur, yeah. They invaded in 1311. Madurai was sacked. Huge amounts of treasure taken.
And the idea of the Pandyas being invincible? Shattered.
Completely shattered. The empire basically fragmented after that. The Pandyas were forced to shift their base south to Tenkasi.
Like they become lesser players.
Pretty much. They ended up as tributaries, paying homage to the rising Vijayanagara Empire. They lingered on, but diminished.
Until when? When do we see the last of them?
The last known Pandya king seems to have died around 1650 AD. And that was it. They just faded away.
What a story. 2,000 years, incredible highs, deep lows, and then an end brought about by internal strife.
It really underscores how vital internal unity is, doesn't it? Especially when you're facing pressure from outside.
Absolutely. So, thinking about this whole incredible journey, what does it really mean for you, listening in? Well, I think the Pandya story is a powerful reminder, isn't it? Even the strongest, most enduring powers, empires, companies, maybe even families can be brought down if they fracture from within.
That internal cohesion seems non-negotiable.
Yeah. Their ability to trade, adapt, and revive was amazing for millennia, but it couldn't survive that final, fatal family feud.
It makes you wonder.
It really does. So here's something to think about. We see their incredible resilience, their capacity to bounce back time and again. Does their ultimate end, triggered by that internal conflict, suggest that maybe internal harmony is the most crucial factor for long-term survival, perhaps even more critical than military power or economic strength? What do you think?